What is happening to Diddy right now, I don't think should surprise many of us at this point, right? It doesn't surprise me. A couple years ago, there was a very interesting case that happened in Mexico of an artist by the name of Gloria Trevi and her manager named Sergio Andrade. And it was similar to Diddy in the RICO, sex trafficking, cult, Nexium level type of crimes. And it's a story that, you know, unless you watched it played out on TV and heard about it through conversations with your friends, it would amaze you and surprise you the cover ups that exist and how parents are willing to sell their kids to an industry to have their little boys and girls be performing monkeys to a certain degree, allow themselves to be part of a dream. I'll admit, I probably watch TV and I watch a lot of these artists sing their little hearts out, and I wanted to do the same. I certainly did. I think many of us could attest to that. We wanted to be maybe a Britney Spears or an NSYNC or a Gloria Trevi or whatever it may be. Now, some of you guys, I know my audience may not all be familiar with this story, but I think it's important to highlight it because it shows you that abuse, selling of children, all these things, it knows no bounds. Every culture, every community, every country is currently dealing with something very similar. A very similar Diddy situation where you have a man who wants to have more than one wife, has a desire to have young wives, multiple partners. Now, to a certain degree, if that is how you get down, no judgment, right? You do your freaky deaky stuff. What if they're young girls or little boys and you're promising them industry credits, names, movies, different things to get your way? You're gaslighting them. You're making them feel confused. And that is what happened with Sergio Andrade and Gloria Trevi and this cult that they created. Or did they? Because some may argue that Gloria Trevi was only 16 years old at the time that she met Sergio Andrade, that she was just a victim of this. And even now, in 2024, she's decided to speak up about certain things regarding this. There was a lawsuit filed recently, just in the last year, accusing her music producer, manager, father of her child, that he assaulted her, that he did something to her. These Hollywood stories of these powerful individuals that make promises and the victims that are too scared to speak out, they keep repeating themselves time and time again. And then you have the parents that will willfully give their children out to this industry. When Gloria Trevi was discovered by Sergio Andrade, she basically took the media and the music industry by storm because she was dubbed the Mexican Madonna. Now, if you know about Madonna, back in her time, she was very provocative. Actually, she's still very provocative. She hasn't quite stopped, but she was one of the first real pop stars in Mexico that really pushed the envelope in various sexualizing topics. Okay, so one of the songs that I remember as a little girl hearing on the radio, I didn't understand what the lyrics were, and actually a lot of the music that Gloria Trevi sang back in the day when I was a child was really meant to basically toss the middle finger to anything that was traditional in a home, any traditional values. So, of course, my family being, Catholic, Spanish speaking, very traditional, very quiet, very humble, Gloria Trevi was not something that we supported, my family supported, right? But when we would hear a song, it was always about inspiring and misbehaving, and the idea that well behaved women rarely make history. That was the kind of vibe that you got from Gloria Trevi. There's one song called Virgins of the Virgins, Virgen de las Vírgenes, all right? And the lyrics was about Gloria had a friend who had sex with 10 men. And the friend would tell everybody that this was her first time every time that she was having sex, okay? And that's because she was the most virgin of all virgins. The song was really meant to test any traditional values that you had at home, right? Whereas I remember it was about abstinence or go to hell. Gloria Trevi was singing these songs that really said, I'm testing that. And it was a big middle finger to traditional traditional family values. It was one of those things where it tested a lot of parents. I mean, the woman was, speaking ill of the Pope, speaking ill of these, leaders. And, if you're Catholic, and that's your upbringing and you're coming from that, Gloria really spoke against any of that, right? So she was one of the first pop artists that really tested people's boundaries. And this is why they named her the Mexican Madonna. When you see Gloria Trevi perform, she was very relatable to someone like myself and other girls that maybe we didn't come up with a lot of money, right? Gloria Trevi made her outfits, her performing outfits, out of torn up shirts. She did all that. Very creative. Torn up pantyhose. And you would see her dancing the stage, and her hair would be like amazing. You couldn't run a comb through her hair, right? She had this like raggedy look about her, but it was for a purpose. And girls wanted to do that. They wanted to look like that. She was essentially anti-establishment, anti-traditions for the women, and wanted to take women out of these traditions of you have to do this, you have to marry young, you have to have children young. That was the image that we got from Gloria Trevi. Now, it turned dark for Gloria Trevi. And as a young girl, I watched this play out as well. I wanted to share something with you guys as I'm talking about the story and why I wanted to talk about Gloria Trevi on my channel. Even though I probably have a lot of followers that have no idea who this woman is, and y'all are probably learning about her here with me, and that's okay. Culturally, every culture, every country has an industry that is currently dealing with demons that take over, right? These, whether it's political, music industry, things like that. And to me, what we're seeing with Diddy right now, we're seeing the fall from a person who was never in grace, by the way, but we're seeing somebody's fall. We're seeing someone's enterprise fall right through. Y'all are watching it. We're watching it together. And essentially, that's what happened with Gloria Trevi and her manager, Sergio Andrade. There was a fall. The only difference is that there was a cult that was built with Gloria Trevi. Very much Nexium level situation. It's a very important story to tell because every culture, every country, every different household that you see out there is dealing with something very similar. Let's get into it. The incredible story of how Gloria Trevi and her manager, Sergio Andrade, went on the run with a group of young female singers who later alleged abuse. Gloria Trevi exploded onto the pop music scene in Mexico with a wild TV performance in 1989 that initially got her banned from the television station. Gloria Trevi would perform and she would sometimes, rip her clothes apart, rip somebody's clothes apart. Gloria Trevi became famous because she had very outspoken social views, her antics and her defiant lyrics and attitude. At the time, Gloria Trevi's manager, Sergio Andrade, was known being able to make people successful and with the ability to mold young talent. Gloria Trevi was not his first to mold. Unbeknownst to most, though, Sergio Andrade was sleeping with much of the talent that he was managing, repeatedly marrying teenage brides who were aspiring pop artists. Sergio Andrade impregnated several of the girls, including Gloria Trevi, and also insisted on multiple abortions. Several later came forward with allegations of abuse. One of his wives left the clan. They had formed this clan, and these women was a bit of a sister wife situation, I would say, without the religion to a certain degree. He was married to one of the girls that he was managing and they were performing. He was also having relationships with them. So in addition to his wife, he was having relationships with all these women and managing them and basically running a situation as such, right? When the wife left the clan, divorced him, and published a book, Sergio took the other women to Spain and later Brazil, where they were eventually found. Now, some of these women were underage. It was said that Gloria Trevi, through her performances, through the things that she was doing, she was also recruiting some of these women to join this clan and all of them be together. The parents of these women, because some of these were minors, came out and were looking for their daughters, right? And then they were hearing that they had gotten pregnant, there was children involved. They got worried and they started going to the authorities and filing the appropriate police reports, right? Well, when they got wind of this, they fled. They went to Brazil, they went to other countries, to Spain, and eventually they were found and apprehended. Both Sergio and Gloria Trevi spent time in a Brazilian prison. A lot of the women told stories of horrific abuse between them. What Sergio Andrade would do is he would basically pin these women up against each other to a certain degree. Some of the women would be jealous of each other. There was a situation where Gloria Trevi became pregnant at one point while they were on the run, and she had a baby, and the baby, who was fathered by Sergio, passed away. There has been so many speculations as to how this baby passed away, why this baby passed away, what they did to this baby. Did somebody hurt the baby? There have been so many stories about this baby. At the end of the day, the body has never been recovered. We don't know what happened. The only truly people that know what happened to this baby is Gloria and the other women that were witnesses to what happened. When Gloria Trevi and Sergio Andrade were captured, they were extradited to Mexico. Now, Sergio Andrade was found guilty of rape and kidnapping of minors, while Gloria Trevi was acquitted of all charges. She already spent more than 4 years behind bars. This saga of this clan, this sex clan, this, what happened behind the scenes, who was involved, parents just giving up custody of their kids to somebody random on the stranger, which isn't any different than just, what happened with Usher, and Diddy was giving custody of Usher. I mean, that happens. It's a very common thing in the industry where people are just giving up their kids to these people without really thinking of the consequences. I mean, that's not new. That's like a cultural thing in Hollywood, and I'll never understand it. You could even say the same for R. Kelly, because some of the parents really just say, well, my child wanted to perform and he promised us this and that and the other, and then come to find out they're involved in some crazy non-consenting entanglement, and these kids were minors, some of them, and the handlers are just looking away, and the people are looking away, excusing, playing the blame game, which I have a feeling we're going to see a lot more with Diddy, right? A journalist by the name of Christopher McDougall wrote a book about Gloria Trevi. The book is called Girl Trouble, the true saga of a superstar, Gloria Trevi, and the secret teenage sex cult that stunned the world. Now, Gloria Trevi came out of this. She has been trying to essentially tell her story in the way in which people understand that she is innocent of a lot of things, that she also was a child at some point, was recruited into this, fell victim to a lot of this manipulation that was happening. A lot of the women in this clan were pointing fingers at each other. Some of them were younger, some of them were older. And so people had a lot of questions as to who bears responsibility. Of course, Sergio Andrade has never been charged with anything here in the United States because, nothing. I don't believe the crimes were here, but he has been charged. And it's interesting because it's my understanding that Sergio Andrade is currently running for some political office in Mexico, which I find that to be amazing given that he's been charged. I don't understand why he would be eligible for any of that, but those are different laws. Christopher McDougall, who wrote Girl Trouble, as a journalist, started really putting out their details because he was able to interview both Gloria Trevi and Sergio Andrade behind bars. And there were details that really became coming out of this clan, this situation where families of these women were tricked. There was a lot of hidden pregnancies. Babies had been abandoned. Young girls brainwashed, and there was underage teens married repeatedly to Sergio Andrade. There were charges of rape, kidnapping, and corruption of minors. And eventually, some of these teenagers gathered the courage to tell their allegations of torture. They were being forced to eat their own vomit, and were moved as a group from house to house, country to country, to avoid any type of detection, any type of detection or anybody recognizing them. The women in the group alleged that Gloria Trevi had been instrumental in recruiting many of the girls and ensuring that they were submissive and participated in sex act with Sergio and the other women. Now, while Gloria Trevi was in the Brazilian prison, she was fighting this extradition from Brazil to Mexico, further adding to the craziness of this story, okay? Gloria becomes pregnant behind bars. She spent 2 years in an all female unit without any conjugal visits. They later did a DNA on the baby, and it was determined that the baby was of Sergio Andrade, her manager, who was also in prison at the time. Sergio Andrade was the father of this baby. The guards in this prison had allegedly been bribed to allow the couple to spend time together in an attorney client interview room. While Gloria Trevi was in prison, she initially defended Sergio Andrade, her manager, but eventually she's changed her mind. Okay. After she was sent back to Mexico in 2004, she and a female backup dancer were all cleared of the charges due to insufficient evidence. She had served 4 years and 8 months in jail. For Andrade's part, Sergio Andrade's part, he was convicted in 2005 on charges of rape and kidnapping of minors and was sentenced to 7 years and 10 months in jail. But he was allowed to go free on time served by paying about 1 million pesos to his main accuser, who was just 12 when she joined the clan. Regardless of the allegations that were made against Gloria Trevi, she didn't have a whole lot of trouble making a comeback into the industry in Mexico. Her past hasn't quite seemed to have tainted the fans' opinions about her. Now, in the Latino community, some folks feel like Gloria Trevi is not a victim, that she consented to be with this man and she was okay with the things that he had done to his victims, and that she is likely not a victim. That's what some people believe. Other folks believe that, oh, that she was a victim and that she was brainwashed and she thought she was with somebody that she would be with for the rest of her life. Hey guys, so what you guys just saw right now is a preview of a bigger video that I'm working on regarding Gloria Trevi and Sergio Andrade and this case, doing a bigger deep dive. I want you guys to tell me what you think in the comments. Is this the first time you've heard of this case? If not, let me know. What do you guys think? I will see you guys on the next one. Wait for that deep dive. Bye, guys.